Welcome to Your Daily Writing Habit, episode number 189. If you are writing a book or thinking about it, or maybe you've started writing your book and you're having some trouble finishing it, you are in the right place. I am your host, Christine Whitmarsh, also known as Christine Inc. I-N-K, like the stuff you write with. Each day I'm sharing with you the writing habits I've learned over my 18 years as a ghostwriter, book coach, and author. I have found that three things in particular have a huge impact on your success as an author, and they can turn someone who doesn't see themselves as a writer into one. Those three things are writing fundamentals, productivity, and mindset habits. Here's today's quote. My task, which I am trying to achieve, is by the power of the written word to make you hear, to make you feel. It is before all to make you see. That and no more, and it is everything. Joseph Conrad. Today we are going to talk a little marketing at one of my inventions called a brand bank, and I have mentioned it in at least one prior episode of Your Daily Writing Habit, but have a different spin on it today. A brand bank is something I invented way back in the day. In 2003, I started my company as a copywriting firm. Today is a book services agency. But when I started, I was kind of an all-purpose, full service, let me write anything for you that you don't want to write for yourself for businesses. And I had a client who had a massage therapy business, and she had hired me to write website copy as well as copy for a trifold brochure. Remember brochures before the internet? And it occurred to me while I was sitting with her and interviewing her for all her, all the things, her customer promise and her mission and vision statement and all the different types of services she offered and the results and all the things. I said, I think it would be easier if I just wrote a big bank of marketing copy, kind of all inclusive, and not really thought like, okay, this will go on the website, this will go on the brochure, et cetera, et cetera. And so I started my copywriting process for that job as a bank of copy. And then I looked at that bank and said, okay, this would be great for this part of the brochure. Hey, this would be great for this part of the website. And that's really when my entire writing process shifted, because I started thinking of it as, a writing project as one giant unit rather than write a thing for this, write a thing for this, write a thing for that. And that was way back in the day. And I named it a brand bank, and it has evolved over the years. So I think that was around like 2004. And it's evolved to something that authors use now, that my authors use. And a brand bank at its core is a vault of copy, ideas, content, taglines, and words. It's called a bank. I named it a bank because you deposit the words in. So words that you can deposit into your brand bank as an author are leftover content from your book, from the cutting room floor. So, as you're writing your book and you get to the editing phase and you start realizing like, oh, okay, this is going on and on and on here, and I don't really need that, or this story doesn't really fit anymore. And you start cutting copy, and sometimes you feel bad about it because you put all that work into writing that content in your book. So it kind of ends up on the cutting room floor. Well, for those of you writing a book, save that content. I keep it when I'm ghostwriting books for clients and for my books for myself. I keep kind of a cutting room floor document to the side where whatever I cut goes into that document. I just don't assume that it's useless just because it's not a fit for the book right now or for, this part of the book. So I keep that document. That's a great beginning of your brand bank because you have all this copy that you originally wrote in your book. So it's going to be the right tone and the right style as your book. And it just, ultimately wasn't a fit for your book, but it will be great marketing content to promote your book with later. So that's a fantastic example of words that you can deposit into your brand bank, cutting room floor content. Other content, brainstorming you do around promoting your book, any words you can think of. So I encourage my authors sometimes to sit down, just grab a notebook, or if those of you who can brainstorm while looking at an electronic screen, I'm not one of those people, but sit there and think about your book, think about your author brand, and just see what comes to mind and start coming up with phrases and paragraphs and, hey, this would be a cool blog idea, and hey, that would be a great social media post, and, here's an idea about my book, and think about why is your book beneficial to people? Who did you write it for? All the things that you did during development, but you're now doing it at the end of your book. And you're putting it all into your brand bank, all kinds of useful copy that you're depositing in there. Because then when you need it, you can make word withdrawals, which means grabbing actual bits of copy from your brand bank. So you've written all these words in your brand bank that have something to do with your book. Now, when you need them, you can make withdrawals for social media posts, larger blocks that you can expand into press releases and media blurbs. Really, you have now in your brand bank variations that probably need to be edited, but really you have all the words you'll eventually need to promote your book. And that's the thing about being a published author, whether you're published, self, indie, or traditional, you will always need words to talk about your book and yourself. With a brand bank, now you have a starting point. So every time you need words, you don't have to start from scratch from a blank white screen. It's always easier to start from something, even just a few sentences you find in your brand bank that inspire you to write an article or a blog post, versus starting from nothing. So start with that brainstorming session, grab your cutting room floor content. Again, the brand bank is not supposed to be edited or polished. It's supposed to be a bank of words and ideas that you can withdraw and play with and shape into final written products. So get all those ideas in there, shape it into something polished, get that cutting room floor document. For authors with a book in progress, start your cutting room floor document now so that you can start, dumping that extra content in as you're writing your book. So that for me is a great source of material for a brand bank. And I'm going to make sure that I put in the show notes for this, I have a free guide on how to write a brand bank. It will actually take you step by step through the process, and I will make sure that's in the show notes. If you can't find them for any reason, please feel free to drop me an email at christine-ink.com, or you can always drop by my Ink Authors group. Everything in my life is ink, notice? Ink Authors on Facebook. And that's a great group of folks that can, your fellow authors that can provide motivation, accountability, and got a bunch of great book writing and publishing resources in there. So, again, contact me for your free brand bank writing guide, either at christine-ink.com or Ink Authors on Facebook. And I'll also make sure I'll put the link in the show notes. Thank you for joining me here on Your Daily Writing Habit, where I'm helping you write and finish writing an awesome book. And if you know someone who wants to do the same, please let them know about the show. Thank you very much, and until tomorrow, happy writing.